Welcome back to Narrative Network. What would you do if you were stranded on a frozen mountain for 70 days, fighting against the odds to survive? This is the extraordinary story of James, a determined adventurer who faced the impossible and lived to tell the tale. But years later, something was discovered that added an even deeper mystery to his journey. What did he find, and how did it change everything? Stay until the end to uncover the truth behind James's incredible survival and the secrets the mountain was hiding. Let us know in the comments what you think the discovery might be. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Let's dive into this unforgettable adventure. James Hartley was an avid adventurer, known among his friends as a man who loved pushing his limits. At 32, he had climbed some of the most treacherous peaks in the world. However, his next challenge was his most ambitious yet: Mount Ira, a remote and unforgiving mountain range notorious for its harsh conditions and unpredictable weather. Before leaving, James reassured his family and friends. "I've done this before," he said confidently. "I'll be back in 3 weeks. Just you wait." Equipped with state-of-the-art gear, a week's worth of food supplies, and an unshakable determination, James began his journey. What he didn't anticipate was how drastically things would go wrong. A few days into the climb, James marveled at the beauty around him. The icy peaks glistened under the sun, and the silence of the mountain filled him with a sense of peace. But as he ascended higher, the weather took a sudden turn. Dark clouds rolled in, and fierce winds howled through the peaks. Snow began to fall heavily, obscuring his vision. James struggled to set up camp, but the storm's intensity destroyed his tent. Disoriented and battered by the elements, he tried to find shelter but slipped on an icy patch, tumbling down a slope. When he finally came to, his supplies were gone, and he was miles away from his intended path. Injured, freezing, and with no food, James faced a horrifying reality. He was completely lost. For the first few days, James held on to hope that he would be rescued. He rationed the little water he had left and attempted to forage for food, eating pine needles and small plants he found under the snow. The days turned into weeks, and his hope began to dwindle. James kept moving, trying to find his way back to civilization. He found a small cave that provided some shelter and used his remaining energy to build fires from twigs and brush. At night, he fought off hunger pangs and the bitter cold by thinking of his family, his younger sister, Claire, and his late father, who had always encouraged him to chase his dreams. "There has to be a way out," he whispered to himself each night, clinging to his will to survive. By the 40th day, James was unrecognizable. His body was emaciated, his face hollow, and his mind foggy from malnutrition. But amid his despair, he stumbled upon something extraordinary: a hidden valley deep within the mountain. The valley was unlike anything he had seen before. It was lush with green moss, a small stream of fresh water, and an eerie quiet that felt both comforting and unsettling. There, James found a small wooden cabin, seemingly abandoned, but remarkably well preserved. Inside the cabin, he discovered a diary and a stockpile of old preserved food, dried meat, grains, and canned goods. Though hesitant, hunger drove him to consume the food. It gave him just enough strength to begin piecing together the mystery of the cabin. The diary belonged to a man named Elias Greaves, a hermit who had lived on the mountain decades ago. His entries detailed a life of solitude, survival, and a deep connection to the land. But the final entry chilled James to his core. "The mountain always takes its due. If you're reading this, beware what it asks of you." With the sustenance from the cabin, James regained enough strength to continue his search for help. On the 70th day, he saw a helicopter flying overhead. Summoning every ounce of energy, he climbed to an open ridge and waved a piece of cloth until the pilot spotted him. The rescue team was stunned by his survival. 70 days in these conditions, one of them said, in disbelief. It's a miracle you're a lumberabov. James was airlifted to safety, where he was reunited with his family. Claire held him tightly, tears streaming down her face. We thought we lost you, she whispered. Though physically weak, James felt a profound sense of gratitude. He vowed to never take life for granted again. Years later, James couldn't shake the memories of the hidden valley and the CBN. Something about Elias Greaves's diary haunted him. He began researching the history of Mount Ara, uncovering legends of people who had vanished on the mountain, only to leave behind cryptic writings about a place that didn't exist on any map. Determined to find answers, James returned to the mountain, this time with a team of experts. They retraced his steps, but when they reached the location of the valley, it was gone. The lush greenery, the stream, the cabin, everything had vanished, replaced by barren rock and snow. The discovery, or lack thereof, left the team baffled. Are you sure this is the place? One of them asked. I'm certain, James replied, his voice firm but uneasy. It was here. James documented his experience in a memoir titled The Mountain's Secret. The book became a bestseller, captivating readers with its tale of survival, mystery, and resilience. While many praised his courage, skeptics dismissed his account of the hidden valley as a hallucination brought on by starvation. But James knew what he had seen. The cabin, the diary, the valley, they were real. He couldn't explain it, but he felt a deep connection to the mountain, as if it had spared him for a reason. One day, James received a package in the mail. Inside was an old photograph of Elias Greaves standing in front of the cabin, along with a note that read, "The mountain doesn't forget. Be careful where you tread." The sender was anonymous, and James had no way of tracing the origin of the package. But the photograph was undeniable proof that Elias Greaves and the cabin had existed. It reignited James's obsession with uncovering the truth. In his later years, James founded a wilderness survival school, teaching others how to endure and respect nature. He often shared his story, encouraging his students to find strength in the face of adversity. Before his death, James wrote a final entry in his journal addressing the mystery of the mountain. Perhaps some secrets are meant to remain unanswered. The mountain gave me a second chance, but it left me with a question I'll never solve. To those who follow in my footsteps, tread carefully. The mountain remembers. After James's passing, his story continued to captivate adventurers, researchers, and skeptics alike. Expeditions to Mount Ara increased, with many seeking the hidden valley and the cabin he had described. While some climbers reported unusual findings, unexplained warmth in certain areas, strange greenery peeking through the snow, none could definitively prove the valley's existence. One researcher, Dr. Emily Harris, became obsessed with James's story. An environmental scientist and avid mountaineer, she spent years studying Mount Ara's geology and ecology, convinced there was an explanation for James's experience. Hidden ecosystems can exist in extreme environments, she told her team. What if James stumbled upon one of them, a microclimate shielded from the harsh conditions of the rest of the mountain? Dr. Harris's expedition set out to map unexplored regions of Mount Ara, using advanced technology like thermal imaging and drones. Though they didn't find the valley, they discovered anomalies. Pockets of unusual heat signatures, inexplicable plant life beneath the snow, and traces of human activity long forgotten. James's sister, Claire, had always been his greatest supporter. After his death, she felt a pull to continue his legacy. Inspired by his resilience and unshakable belief in the mountain's secrets, Claire decided to climb Mount Ara herself. For Claire, the journey was personal. She wanted to reconnect with her brother's memory and understand what he had experienced. Accompanied by a small team, Claire retraced James's steps, reading excerpts from his memoir each night by the campfire. One evening, as the team camped near the ridge where James had been rescued, Claire dreamed of her brother. In the dream, James stood in the valley, smiling. "The mountain gave me a chance," he said. "Now it's your turn." When Claire woke, she felt an overwhelming sense of purpose. She convinced her team to push further into uncharted territory despite the risks. On the 13th day of their climb, Claire's team stumbled upon an area unlike any they had seen before. The snow thinned, revealing patches of moss and small streams of clear water. It wasn't the lush valley James had described, but it was eerily similar. As they explored, Claire found remnants of an old structure, a broken beam, rusted nails, and what appeared to be the corner of a wooden cabin buried in the snow. Her heart raced as she unearthed a fragment of wood etched with initials, E.G. "It's Elias Greaves," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. The discovery was a breakthrough, but it raised more questions than answers. What had caused the valley to vanish? Was it a natural phenomenon, or was there something more mysterious at play? Claire's findings reignited global interest in Mount Ara and James's story. Media outlets covered the discovery extensively, and debates about the hidden valley resurfaced. Some scientists theorized that geothermal activity could explain the anomalies, while others leaned into the supernatural aspects of James's account. Claire published a book titled The Mountain's Memory, blending her brother's story with her own journey. The book became a bestseller, touching hearts worldwide and inspiring readers to embrace the unknown. Months after Claire's return, she received a package from an anonymous sender. Inside was a weathered envelope containing a letter and an old photograph. The letter read, "To those who find this, the mountain is alive in ways we cannot comprehend. It tests us, shapes us, and, for those who listen, reveals its secrets. My time here has ended, but the mountain's memory will live on. Protect it, honor it, and tread lightly, for it watches always. Elias Greaves." The photograph showed Elias standing in front of the intact cabin, his expression serene. Behind him, the lush valley James had described stretched into the distance. Inspired by the letter, Claire collaborated with conservation groups to protect Mount Ara. Together, they established the Hartley Greaves Conservation Project, dedicated to preserving the mountain's natural beauty and ensuring that future generations could explore its mysteries responsibly. Mount Ara became a symbol of resilience, mystery, and the enduring human spirit. Adventurers, scientists, and spiritual seekers alike were drawn to its slopes, each hoping to uncover a piece of its secrets. Years later, Claire stood at the base of Mount Ara with her children and grandchildren. She had passed on James's story to them, ensuring that his legacy lived on. As they prepared to begin a family hike, Claire placed her hand on the mountain's cold surface. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice carrying both gratitude and reverence. The mountain remained silent, its secrets hidden beneath layers of ice and time. But Claire felt its presence, a quiet acknowledgement of the lives it had touched and the mysteries it continued to guard. To this day, Mount Ara stands as a monument to the unknown. The hidden valley remains a subject of debate and fascination, with climbers reporting glimpses of its greenery and the faint outline of a cabin in the distance. Some say the mountain chooses who it reveals itself to, testing their will and resilience before granting them a glimpse of its heart. Others dismiss these tales as legends, spun from desperation and imagination. But those who have felt the mountain's power know the truth. Mount Ara is alive, its secrets waiting patiently for those brave enough to seek them. And so the mountain watches, silent and eternal, holding its mysteries close. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired or intrigued you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more thrilling and unforgettable tales. Share this video with your friends and family, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you in the next video.